Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei was the reincarnation of Brightburn and fought Justice League and Avengers movie. Before we start, please go support IsseiOmniversalCaos for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. Issei is the reincarnation of Brightburn, the son of darkness, a being like Superman, but stronger than him. Not only is Superman in the story, but also the Justice League and the Avenger from the boys. Issei has 3 brothers who initially despised him, but then one day Issei befriends a girl named Odom. However, she lied, saying that he raped her, and he ends up being taken to a reformatory for what he did. There, he would suffer a great hell where he would gradually unleash his powers. Prologue. Issei's POV. Hello, my name is Issei, and this is my story of how I ended up on top of a building with the corpse of a woman beside me. She was a fallen angel named Calwarner. They sent her to kill me, but it was the other way around. I killed her. But in the sky, the clouds were black and swirling with purple and yellow lightning, but also red. But let's go back to the past. When I was little, my family never paid attention to me because I was the smallest and weakest, unlike my siblings, who, according to my parents, were prodigies. What a load of crap. They were the center of attention. My arrogant brother Hector and my possessive and spoiled sisters Am and Yumi, my parents' favorites, or rather, my parents' attempts at being parents, because they're just garbage. My father, Goru, and my useless mother, Mickey. What could I expect from them? Whenever they went out, they left me home alone, and I had to learn to fend for myself. I learned to cook, or well, the only thing I knew how to cook was fried eggs with rice, but I was a perfectionist about it. I always liked it to be perfect. What a life. While they were having fun, he was suffering. Every night and on every floor I was in a place of pure death. There was nothing, but then I looked at the sky and saw a subject with a red cape, a terrifying mask looking at me with red eyes, and the sky was red, but with black clouds, the sun was red like an eclipse, and he told me that soon it would be my time. 4 years passed, which were torture for me. My parents yelled at me, insulted me, along with my siblings, their friend Irina, and 2 girls named Sona, Sitri and Rias Gremory, or whatever her last name was. School was no different. I was just a burden. They treated me badly, even when I did my homework. The teachers ignored me. I had no friends. But one day, a girl named Odom arrived. She came from a middle-class family. Her older brother was a policeman, and her father was in the military. One day, she became my friend. Everything seemed to be going well, but it was all just a vile lie. One day, she flashed me her breasts, then slapped me and ran away. I didn't understand what happened, so I went home sad, thinking she didn't want to be my friend anymore. When everyone was having lunch, there was a knock at the door. It was Odom's brother with his parents. My mother asked them what they wanted, and they just told her that I had tried to rape their daughter. The place fell into a deathly silence. My furious parents confronted me. They called, and I, scared, told them it was a lie. But Odom showed them the scratches on her chest, something I hadn't done to her, but everyone believed her. Her parents told mine to take me to a reformatory. I was terrified. My parents, in furious voices, agreed, and that's how, 3 weeks later, they took me to a children's reformatory. From the moment I arrived, my life in this place was horrible. They beat and mistreated me, even the staff. I began to feel hatred towards each and every one of them, and my eyes started to burn. When I went to the bathroom and looked at my eyes, I was shocked. They were now red as blood. But then, after a while, my eyes went back to normal. I didn't understand. I thought it was an illusion. So I went to my room, which I shared with my only friend who treated me well, a boy named Elias. He was a disabled child, the only one who believed in my innocence. The reason I was here was because he hit his brother, who killed his little dog named Jachi, and they sent him here so that we reformed and we lived in our own world, telling stories, drawing, and all sorts of things. But one of those days would mark a before and after in my life. When I returned from showering, I saw several children gathered in my room, as well as teachers. Upon closer inspection, I was shocked to see my best friend, the only one who supported me, dead. He had hanged himself. At that moment, I fainted and woke up 30 minutes later in the infirmary. When I woke up, I remembered what I had seen. I started to cry and let out a heart-wrenching scream, feeling an uncontrollable rage. But then I discovered that a couple of the kids who always bothered me were the ones who killed my friend. I went to their room and heard them laughing, saying how he begged them to stop. So I exploded in anger, went in, and started hitting everyone until they bled in different places. I took them before the headmistress where I had to hit them again to make them confess the truth, and they had no choice but to tell the truth. They took them to a room below the reformatory where they would be locked up for 4 months, where they would suffer more than I suffered, as did my friend. I just stayed there crying in my room over my friend's death, and another 5 years passed. Then I found out they were going to let me come back home, hahaha, as if you could even call that house a home. They told me that Odom's bitch confessed that I was innocent. Apparently, she couldn't handle the guilt. The whole neighborhood found out and started seeing her family as liars. I also found out that her idiot brother got fired. I just smiled. 2 hours passed and I was at the door of my old home. My ex-family cried and hugged me when they saw me. I just wanted to kill them for what they did to me and tear them apart for believing that damn woman, but I held back. They threw me a party, but I didn't give a damn and I went back to my old room. The next morning, they told me I'd be going to Kuoh Academy. I just nodded angrily, and on my first day of classes, I was the center of attention since what happened to me was on the news and everyone knew. Hours passed and it was time to leave. I was bored. I was driving across the bridge when a blue-haired vixen stopped me. She said she wanted to go out with me, I accepted, and on the day of our date she tried to kill me, hahaha. It was the other way around, and that brings us to the current situation. I'm looking at her lifeless corpse, so I left the place. While passing through the park where she is, I killed that girl and unleashed my second power so that everyone knows Brightburn, the son of darkness. Chapter 1. We can see our protagonist walking through the park near the bridge where he met the woman who wanted to kill him. Flashback. Issei was walking bored through the park until he reached the bridge, but he was stopped by a blue-haired girl wearing the Kotori school uniform V. The girl stared at him for a few minutes, annoying the black-haired boy with red streaks. Issei. What do you want? He said sharply. Do I have something on my face? Kalwerner. My name is Kalwerner, I'm a student at Kotori Academy, and I know this is sudden, but please, Issei-san, would you go on a date with me? She said trembling. I know we barely know each other, but I. Issei. You barely see me and you want to go on a date with me, he said, annoyed. Why? Kalwerner. I know it sounds weird, but please go out with me, she said, shedding a few tears. Issei-san. Issei. Okay, don't cry anymore. I have a date with you. He said more calmly. What day will it be? Kalwerner. It could be Sunday. Issei. Of course. Kalwerner. Thank you, Issei-san, she said, giving him a kiss on the cheek, a little gift. Issei. Well, see you later, take care. Kalwerner. You too, Issei-san, goodbye, he said as he walked away from the place. Issei just watched her walk away until he sensed another presence, but decided to ignore it. As she walked away, a white-haired girl eating a strawberry popsicle appeared. I must inform the president, he said, leaving the place. End of flashback. Now our protagonist was in his room lying on his bed looking at the ceiling while touching his right eye, remembering his first friend Elias. Issei. I wish you were here, friend, he thought sadly. Flashback. Elias. Issei, do you know what my dream is? Issei. What is your dream? He asked curiously. Elias. Having my own restaurant, he said with a smile. Issei. Seriously? He said, surprised. Elias. I know it seems ridiculous and that my family won't support me since my parents say it seems like a girl's dream, he said a little sadly. Issei. Elias, I don't think it's ridiculous, in fact I love the idea, what's more, I'll even help you, friend, he said smiling. Elias. Thank you, Issei, for being my first friend, he said with tears of happiness. Issei. Thanks. End of flashback. Issei. Elias, I promise you I will fulfill that dream, he said as he got up and headed to the bathroom to shower, remembering that blue-haired girl. Flashback. On the day of the date, Issei had arrived on time and had a vein throbbing on his forehead because an hour had passed and the girl hadn't arrived. He was about to leave, but a voice stopped him. Kalwerner. I'm sorry, Issei-san, I made you wait, she said, embarrassed. Issei. Never mind, let's go. Kalwerner. Yes, he said, smiling. The couple went to different places like the amusement park, the mall, and the movies. The girl was happy and for some reason, Issei was smiling. They continued until they arrived at the park next to a fountain and Kalwerner stopped and said he had something important to tell her. Kalwerner. Issei-san, you could die for me. Issei. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Kalwerner. Die for me. Issei. I see, he said with his hair covering his eyes, so I was just a game to you, he said with hatred. Kalwerner. That's right, you were just a toy, hahaha, how pathetic, you really believed it, she said mockingly, unaware that she was doomed. Issei. Then I have no choice, he said, showing his eyes, which now had pupils like a dragon's, but his eyes glowed yellow. It's time for you to die. Kalwerner. You damn bastard, what the hell are you? She said, frightened. Issei. I am a monster, he said, appearing behind the blue-haired girl, piercing her chest with his arm and killing her. Then his right arm materializes into a golden gauntlet with red gems. Wow, mate, I didn't expect you to kill her. Issei. You know how I am, he was about to leave, but then he falls to the ground. He wakes up in the same place as his dreams, seeing the subject looking at him, but now he was in front of him. Issei. What do you want from me? The subject just approaches him, removing his mask to reveal that he was a teenager of about 15 years of age, the same age as Issei. I am Brandon Brer, or I was before I became what I am. Issei. What are you? Brandon. I'm from another world, he surprised Issei, but it's different from this one. I have powers, I can fly at great speeds, I have skin like steel, and I have heat vision. Issei. Are you a villain or something? Brandon. Almost the same. Issei. And why are you always in my dreams? Brandon. Because I chose you as my successor. Issei. What? Brandon. You will have my powers and abilities. You will be the new Brightburn. Issei. I don't know if I should accept, but tell me the reason why you chose me instead of someone else. Brandon. Because you have a thirst for revenge against your family and that spoiled Gremory, except for that Sitri who was supporting you. Issei. Is that the reason why you chose me as your successor? Brandon. That's correct. Issei already thought it would be a good opportunity to become stronger and cause some terror among several people. Issei. I accept to be your successor. Brandon smiled and shook hands with Issei, who then vanished, and Issei began to feel ill. Issei wakes up, but then he hears many voices and starts to speak them. Issei. Cents yen euros pounds yen euros pounds yen euros yen pounds euros yen cents yen euros take the pounds yen euros pounds euros 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 take the pounds yen euros pounds euros 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 pounds yen euros pounds euros 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 take the pounds yen euros pounds euros euros euros. He looks up and his eyes begin to glow red. Little by little yellow and purple rays come out of his hands. Take the world. His eyes became brighter and brighter and the rays went to his eyes where he begins to do something until he finishes screaming and shoots a giant laser beam mixed with the rays that came out of his eyes. Ai. He raises his head, still firing his beams, but they go to the sky, attracting the attention of some people. In the sky, the heat rays gathered a large number of clouds that rotated around him, emitting lightning from different parts of them. Issei stops firing his beams, but upon seeing a large magic circle appear, he leaves in a flash with the angel's corpse. Some people leave the circle. Hineko, this is the place, said Aritid. Hineko. Yes, President, said the white-haired girl with a neutral tone. Damn, it seems they've disappeared from the place, she said, annoyed. What do we do, Rias? Said a chestnut-haired girl. Rias. I want you to bring Issei to the club tomorrow, she said seriously. Yes, President. President, that boy Issei is really interesting, he said happily. Issei was in a tall building looking at the blue-haired girl's corpse, but with a cold expression he would leave her there while he looked at the stars and just sighed in boredom. Issei. Stupid, he said as he walked away. End of flashback. Now, chestnut-haired Issei lay in his bed, thinking that tomorrow would be a very annoying day, but he would discover his powers the following morning. As he closed his eyes and prepared to sleep, he woke up irritated the next morning and went to shower. Once he finished, he went to the kitchen and found his family there. They tried to talk to him, but Issei just ignored them and, with a blank stare, prepared his breakfast. Mickey. Issei, son, can we talk? She asked worriedly. Issei. I'm busy, he said coldly. Boru. Son, please, we just want to talk, he said sadly. Issei. You had 8 years to talk to me, now I don't have time, he said as everyone fell silent. Hector. Brother. Ani-chan. Yumi. Issei-chan. But the black-haired boy with white streaks ignored them and left the house towards Kuoh Academy, receiving looks from all the girls who saw him with a blush. Once inside the classroom, everyone was talking to each other until the teacher entered. Professor. Okay, guys, now it's time for a surprise quiz, he said with a macabre smile. 6. Students. What? Teacher. Silence, now begin, he said seriously. Everything remained calm until a blonde-haired boy entered the classroom and all the girls squealed when they saw him. Student 1. Kaya is Kiba-senpai. Student 2. How lovely. Student 3. Kaya Kiba-senpai is very handsome. Hyoudou. Excuse me, Professor, I need Issei-kun to come with me to the occult club, he said with a panty-dropping smile. Professor. I understand, he said calmly. Young Hyoudou, you may leave the classroom with your senpai. Issei. How annoying, he said, walking beside Kiba. What do you want from me, Hyoudou? Hyoudou. Nothing, Issei-kun, it's just that my president wants to talk to you. Issei. Whatever, he said angrily. What does that damn spoiled brat want now? He thought with disgust. They continued walking, receiving lustful glances from all the girls. After a while, they arrived at the occult club and Hyoudou proceeded to knock on the door, receiving a pass from its president. Hyoudou. I already brought it as you asked, President, he said with a bow. Rias. Thank you, Hyoudou, she said with a smile, and it's a pleasure to see you again, Issei-kun. Issei. Get straight to the point, Gremory, he said angrily. Ikeno. Don't talk to Rias like that, she said angrily. Issei. I don't give a damn. Now Gremory speaks. He said with disgust, why did you call me? Ikeno. You'll be a. Rias. Silence, Ikeno, she said seriously, and the reason I called you here is about that girl you went out with. Issei. So you're spying on me, Gremory, he said seriously. Rias. I only care about you, she said, sounding a little sad. Issei. We had a date, then we went to the park, and finally to a hotel to have sex, he said angrily, shocking everyone and hurting his sister and Alyssa. Do you want me to give you details of how we did it? He said mockingly. Rias. I didn't say that, and besides, how did you end up doing it with her if you barely knew each other? She said, agitated. Ani-chan, we just want to help you, she said, tears streaming down her face. Issei. And with that, I can do whatever I want, he said angrily. Ikeno. But what would happen if she got pregnant? She said venomously, remembering the fallen angel. Issei. Well, I would accept it. I'm not someone who abandons his children, he said, making Am start to cry. Asia. Issei-san, please, we just want to help you. Haneko. Issei-senpai, the president just wants to help you with that girl. Hyoudou. That's right, Issei-kun. Issei. I don't care, so I'm leaving, he said, leaving the club and leaving everyone in shock. Alyssa. Issei, forgive me, she said, starting to cry, as did Am, while they were comforted by Ikeno and Asia. With Issei. He was already in his classroom ignoring everyone, and once the hours passed, it was time to leave, and the black-haired boy with white streaks started walking towards his house. But on the way, he met a blue-haired girl with a good figure wearing a somewhat revealing outfit. Well, if you aren't a human who murdered Kalwarner, he said with a smile. Issei. So what if I did? He said angrily. Nothing, you just did me a favor. Issei. Sorry, I don't like eating skinny things, it still leaves me hungry, he said bored. You damn son of a bitch, I'll kill you, she said angrily. Issei. It's true, I'm the son of a bitch, but what can you do? And tell me, lowly, what's your name? He said mockingly. You damn bastard, well my name is Middleton, I will kill you. Issei. I don't think so, he said, hitting her and knocking her unconscious. Well, I need to de-stress, he said, looking at the fall. I thought you wouldn't accept it, mate. Issei. I know, but oh well, I can't pass up this opportunity. Well, let's go quickly, Gremory might appear. Issei. You're right, he said, disappearing in a leap into the sky. Meanwhile, in another, more precise location in the city's forest, a kind of humanoid plant, black and white in color, could be seen looking at the city. Brandon's reincarnation is Issei and he's in the city, he said smiling. It's time for a family reunion, he said disappearing. Chapter 2. In an abandoned factory, our dark-haired protagonist observes a woman. Issei. Wake up already, he said seriously. I doubt he'll wake up, mate. Issei. You think so, Ghidorah? He said, a little doubtful. Ghidorah. Hahaha, of course, partner, after all, you tormented her with your eyes, said the three-headed dragon mockingly. Issei. Anyway, now we just have to wait for him to wake up. Ghidorah. And aren't you going to take her? He said, intrigued. Issei. Not for now, he said seriously. Ghidorah. Well, I'm going to sleep, he said, disappearing. Issei. What a problem, he said, closing his eyes and beginning to remember his encounter with Ghidorah. Mini flashback. Issei was sleeping when suddenly a cloud of lightning appeared in his mind, from which 3 dragon heads emerged and began to stare at him. Issei. Who are you? He said somewhat nervously. My name is Ghidorah. I am a supreme-class dragon who is almost surpassing God, and I am known as the King of Terror, he said proudly. Tell me, what is your name, partner? Issei. My name is Issei, I'm a student, and my dream is to become strong and have my own restaurant, he said casually. Ghidorah. Hahaha, an interesting dream, kid, the head said, smiling. Issei. Excuse me, but how are you in my mind? He asked curiously. Ghidorah. I am a sacred gear, child. Issei. Excuse me, but what are those sacred gears? He said with doubt and curiosity. Ghidorah. Well, I'll tell you a story so you understand. Issei. Okay. Ghidorah proceeded to tell Issei his entire story and the history of the biblical factions, as well as the wars that took place, along with all the types of sacred gear that exist. The classes of demons, fallen angels, and dragons. It should be noted that Issei was surprised to hear all this history and became interested in the sacred gear. Issei. It was an amazing story, Ghidorah, he said with a smile. Ghidorah. And what will you do now, partner? He said curiously. Issei. I'll train to become stronger, he said with a determined expression. Ghidorah. Hahaha, I'll help you then, partner, he said with a smile. Issei. We will be the most powerful beings in the world, we will surpass even the gods, he said, extending his hand with a closed fist, which was met by Ghidorah, who bumped his fist with it. End of mini flashback. Middled. Where am I? She said, sounding somewhat pained. Issei. You're finally awake, he said, looking at her. Middled. You damned bastard, take these ropes off me now, trash, and I'll let you go, she said angrily. Issei. What a mouth, he said seriously. Now shut your mouth and tell me who sent you and that dwarf Mealet, he said, looking at her angrily. Middled. I won't tell you anything, you damn bastard, she said angrily. Issei. Then I'll find a way to get the information out of you, he said, approaching the blonde. It's time to have some fun. Middled. Damn it, don't touch me. Issei. Who said I'd touch you? He said mockingly. I'm going to see your memories, he said, using Ghidorah's powers to enter the girl's mind. After entering her mind, he was surprised to see how the other fallen angels treated her like a bore and a useless creature good only for Hex. She always had a sad face, and her only solace was being with her friend Rainer. After a while, he saw her talking to a fallen angel with 10 pairs of black wings, which led him to believe he was a cadre. His name was Gabriel, and he was shocked to learn that he planned to steal Excalibur and assassinate the sisters of the Maus, Lucifer and Leviathan, in order to provoke a new war between factions. Once he finished seeing her memories, he saw that she was crying, and seeing her in that state, he felt pity and hugged her, apologizing and comforting her to calm her down. Middled. Why are you hugging me? Sniff, I tried to kill you. Sniff. Issei. I will help you and save your friend Rainer from that rat Gabriel. Middled. Really? She said hopefully. Issei. That's right, you have nothing to fear, I will take care of you, he said with a smile, and was knocked down by the fallen angel. Middled. Thank you, Issei, thank you, she said, starting to kiss the dark-haired boy. They started with a kiss and then some touching. They both began to give in to lust and ended up having Hex for 8 hours straight, and after those 8 hours, Middled could be seen lying on Issei's chest with semen coming out of her intimacy. Middled. Issei, can I ask you a question? She said, receiving a nod from the boy. How did you get those powers? Issei. You really want to know? He said, looking at her. Well, I'll tell you my story. So our protagonist proceeded to tell her his whole story. Middled, upon hearing Issei's story, shed some tears, hugged him, and apologized for having said such cruel things. She was also furious with that bitch Odom, who was responsible for Issei being locked up in a reformatory. Middled. I'm sorry for what happened to you, he said sadly. Issei. It doesn't matter, he said, hugging her. Now my dream is to become strong, have a family, and own a restaurant, he said, smiling and blushing. Middled. It's a beautiful dream, she said happily and blushing. Issei. I have to go, beautiful. See you later, okay? He said, giving her a kiss. Middled. Yes, Issei, she said happily. I will inform you of anything that happens in Gregory, she said as she disappeared in a magic circle. Issei. Ghidorah, do you feel that presence? He said seriously. Ghidorah. If he's getting closer, he said in a serious tone. Issei. You can leave now, he said, raising his voice. You found me out, brother, he said happily. Issei. Who are you? He said seriously. My name is Odd and I am your brother, he said happily. Issei. What a thing. He said, shocked. Odd. Yes, I am your brother, but to help you understand, I'll tell you a story about our parents. Issei. I'm listening, Zod. Zod. You see, our mother is Cal. She's the one who created me, and your father is Baltazar, one of the strongest Kryptonians in existence. How you met is rather curious, since Mom was in the human world because Jol-El's son, along with his friend Generals Odd and his second-in-command Mara, failed to assassinate her. That's why she escaped to this world, as well as to another. Here, she learned about human life, their customs and weaknesses. But on one of those occasions, she met Baltazar, who was with his daughter Kazuki. They were eating at a restaurant, and my mother didn't have enough to pay. When the man in charge was going to ask her for a night with him to pay off her debt, Irie helped her by paying it, and that's how she won his friendship. They started as friends, and little by little, their relationship deepened, and over time, they fell in love. 2 years later, they got married, and Mom became pregnant with you, brother, he said excitedly. Kazuki became your personal bodyguard when you were born, but something happened, a tragedy, an attack by Cal. He's from our world. We tried to return to our world in this one, but he stopped us. He also hurt Mom, provoking Irie and Kazuki's anger. But when they finally managed to kill him, it was too late. You, who were born at that moment, disappeared from the place, and for several months, even years, we searched for you. During that time, Mom was very depressed, as was Irie, but Kazuki blamed herself for not being able to protect you, and swore to herself to find you, just like I did. More months passed, and that's when I felt a very powerful dark Kryptonian power, and that's how I found you, brother, she said, shedding tears of happiness. I'm here to take you home to mom and dad, she said, looking at her little brother. Issei. I don't know what to think, he said, shocked. Ghidorah, he's lying, he thought to himself. Ghidorah. No, partner, he's telling the truth. Besides, I sense a similar energy to yours in him, he said, surprised. Issei was truly in shock. He was his brother, and he had a mom and a dad. He couldn't believe it, but he hid his emotion with a serious face. Issei. I believe you, but I have to decline an offer. It's odd. Why? He said sadly. Issei. No, and don't take this the wrong way, brother, but I don't feel ready. Besides, I'm not strong enough. But I promise I'll go find them. Also, I want you to give mom and dad a message that I'm okay, that they shouldn't worry about me anymore, because I'll be coming to see them very soon, so we can be together. Please, brother, take that message for me. It's odd. I will, little brother. Issei. Before you go, I want you to tell me about my abilities and my powers. It's odd. Being half human and half dark Krypton makes you a very strong being, and you also possess a sacred gear of the Longinus type, but very strong. Your heat vision power is stronger than anyone else's, and your resistance is stronger. Issei. I see. Now tell me our story. Zod. Okay. Zod proceeded to tell him all about his world and the children who were sent long before, like Brandon. He was surprised and excited because he was stronger than a god and would be a very powerful being. Zod. That's all. Now, before I go, little brother, I'll give you this scroll containing instructions so you can create a very strong armor that you can use. Take good care of yourself. He said as he shot off into the sky. Issei. All this looking at the scroll will help me become stronger, what do you say, Ghidorah? Ghidorah. Hahaha, now the world trembled with your power, partner. Issei. Haha. At Kuoh Academy, more precisely in the Occult Research Club. Rias. Issei, she said sadly, forgive me for everything I did to you. Rias, don't worry, we'll get my little brother back, she said hopefully. I'll clarify something I forgot. The Hyoudou family is part of the Heaven faction, but they have a small truce with the demons. Only their daughter, is a demon, since she doesn't want to be with the Heaven faction. Because of this, she has problems with her parents, but she doesn't care. They're going on a mission to the Vatican and leaving with Issei to look after her and keep them informed. Okay, let's continue. Akeno. Your brother is very troublesome. Hyoudou. He's very cold to everyone, he said, sipping tea. Asia. But I sense some kindness in her heart. Hineko. He is very serious with everyone and doesn't like to talk to anyone about his life. Rias. I know, she said sadly. Tell me how is Odom? She asked hatefully. Don't talk to me about that bore. She and her parents moved to Tokyo trying to forget what she did to my brother, the bitch. If I see her again, I'll kill her. She said furiously as an orange circle formed on the ground and a blonde man emerged accompanied by a silver-haired woman. It's been a while since I've been to the human world, she said smiling. Hello, I want to laugh. Rias. Razor. I scream with hatred. Razor. He. Post credits. Somewhere unknown near Japan, a plane with 240 passengers boarded, heading towards Kuoh. The boy of about 8 years old was traveling with his father. His t-shirt had a drawing of Superman and the Justice League. The boy was almost asleep when he saw something flying near them through the window. He realized it was someone with a red headscarf and a strange suit. Child. Dad, look. The father looks out the window and notices the person. Father. It must be someone from the League. It's good to have someone watching out for us. The boy was happy, but the man kept staring at the plane. Father. But what's he doing out there? Their questions were answered when the subject's eyes glowed red, and yellow and red rays with black began to emerge from his hands. Upon seeing this, the father gets up and runs to warn the captain, but it was too late as the subject fires a huge energy beam, along with the beams from his hands at the plane, splitting it in half and killing everyone inside. The plane explodes and plummets somewhere. The subject stops his flight only to watch as the plane falls and explodes. Chapter 3. Rias. Razor, what are you doing here, Razor? She said, annoyed. Razor. I came to see my fiancé, he said, irritated. Rias. I'll give it to you, I won't marry you because I'm going to marry the person I love, she said, thinking of Issei. Razor. You're still just as whiny and spoiled as ever, and you'll never change. That's why everyone makes fun of you behind your back for being a useless, spoiled woman, he said mockingly. Rias. You damn bastard, she said, raising her aura. How dare you speak to Rias like that? She said, releasing her dragon aura. Razor. Anyway, I just came to give you some news, Rias, he said happily, I'm not marrying you. Rias. What? What are you talking about? She said, shocked. Razor. Simple, this is the real reason, he said, beginning to glow, revealing a redeed with a stunning body. Everyone in the room. You're a woman. Razor. If there's a problem, my name is Carol Phoenix, she said in a bored tone. Rias. But why? Carol. I simply hid my true appearance thanks to a spell cast by my parents because they were afraid I would be betrothed to a high-class demon. Thanks to my family, I was saved and I pretended to be a man for that reason, but now it doesn't matter anymore since I have an interest in a certain person, she said, looking out the window. Rias. Then I am free. Carol. That's right, and now I'm leaving. I have something important to do, she said, leaving the place. Grayfia. Well, with all this settled, I'll take my leave, she said, leaving the place. Rias. I can't believe it, I'm free, she said, tears streaming down her face. Hyoudou. Congratulations, President. Kaneko. Many congratulations. Bakeno. What a joy. Asia. What happiness, Rias Onasama. Am. Things are getting better. Somewhere in the elemental world. A beautiful woman with white hair could be seen looking at a field of flowers with a sad expression. You Cal, you must eat something please, said a black-haired man who looked at her sadly. You Cal. Let me go, Balthazar, please, she said, starting to cry. Balthazar. I know how you feel, but you must be strong. You Cal. I lost my baby because of that bastard, how do you expect me to be strong? She said, crying as Zod emerged from the earth. Zod. Mother, I have important news for you. You Cal. What is it? He said without interest. Zod. I found my little brother. He said happily, before being attacked by his mother. You Cal. Don't play those jokes with me, you hear? She shouted furiously. Zod. I'm not lying, look, he said, showing a picture of Issei. You Cal. He is my baby, she said, shedding tears of happiness. Balthazar. Zod is truly my son, he said hopefully. Zod. Yes, he's my little brother, his name is Issei, he said happily. You Cal. Where is he? Take me there right now. Zod. It's complicated, but let me explain. Then Zod explained about Issei. Cal was surprised and happy that her son would be visiting them, as well as Balthazar. Balthazar. You said he's already awakened his Kryptonian power and is the reincarnation of Brightburn. Zod. That's right. Itachi-sensei, what's happening? Itachi. Irie is about my son Issei, he is well and will visit us, he said very happily. Irie. Seriously? Said the white-haired girl happily. Irie. Then he'll come to see us, she said excitedly. Zod. That's right, he said, smiling. Balthazar. That way you can fulfill your dream, Irie. Nezuko. What are you talking about, sensei? Balthazar. You know your dream of marrying my son, she said with her classic smile. Irie. I don't know what you're talking about. Balthazar. Haha, you know it. You Cal. Well, so you're already looking for a girlfriend for my baby, she said, showing her eyes, preparing her heat rays. You Cal. It's not what you think, he said, fearful for his soul. Elsewhere. Peril could be seen walking towards a small cabin far away in the woods. Peril. I'm here, I brought cakes and other things for you. Thank you for all this, Carol, you really didn't have to bother, she said apologetically. Peril. Alyssa, you are my friend and I will always be there to help you, she said smiling. Alyssa. But you'll still get into trouble because of me. Peril. That doesn't matter, Rias. Those council elders won't do anything, I assure you. Alyssa. I will believe your word, Carol, she said, smiling. Peril. Let's eat. Alyssa. Yes. Peril. And by the way, Rias, I wanted to ask when you're going to pick up your set of evil pieces, she said curiously. Alyssa. According to Ajuka Onasama, I can go get my pieces tomorrow, she said smiling. Peril. I see, but I have something to tell you. Alyssa, what a thing, Carol. Peril. I already know who you can reincarnate as. Alyssa. Seriously, who? Peril. To am Hyoudou's younger brother, Issei Hyoudou, she said with a smile. Alyssa. What? She yelled, spitting out her soda. I can't. If my sister Rias finds out, she'll kill me. She said, scared. Besides, I don't think he wants to be part of my entourage, she said sadly, I'm just a simple talentless demon. Peril, don't say that, Alyssa. You weren't like this before. You're special, Alyssa. Besides, you don't know it. Maybe he wants to be part of your entourage. Tomorrow we'll go look for him because my relative informed me that he has a sacred gear. Alyssa. Seriously? She said, surprised. Peril. Now that's a friend of mine. But Issei. He was walking through the streets until he reached a restaurant. Once inside, he ordered something to eat and chose ramen from all the dishes. Once his order arrived, he began to eat until he heard a voice beside him. Meanwhile, at Kuoh airport. "I've finally arrived, now I must find you my cute Ani-chan," said a girl with white hair. "In an abandoned church. Everything is going according to plan." "That's right, my lord, everything is going according to plan," he said smiling. "Haha, I still can't believe you would betray your family, Alan Hyoudou." "Alan? Hahaha, they're useless and soon they'll steal my son's power and our plan will be complete, my lord Gabriel." "Gabriel? Excellent, Alan. Now my other spies are about to arrive and thanks to what they stole, we can start a new war," he said with a psychopathic smile. "Alan? That's how it will be, Gabriel-sama. At the Vatican meeting. Father. As you know. Excalibur were stolen and that's why you're going to recover them." "We will do it," they said, leaving the place. "Mom, are you okay? You seem nervous." "Yumi, I'm nervous because we'll be seeing your brother after weeks." "Yumi. I'm nervous too. Yumi Issei could be in danger," she said worriedly. "Yumi. Don't worry, Irina, I'll be alright." "Irina. I hope so," she said, a little calmer. "Not to be a spoilsport, but who is this Issei that everyone's talking about, Miki-sama?" said the mother of the future Ichihes. "Miki? He's my youngest son, Issei Zenovia-chan." "Zenovia? I understand, Miki-sama. Yumi. Papa Hector won't be coming to support us." "Guru? He's with another team helping with some rogue demons, but don't worry, he'll come when he's finished." "Yumi, yes dad." "Miki. Now let's go." "Zenovia Arena Yumi Guru." "Yes." Post credits. It was night. Somewhere in the ocean near Metropolis, there were 4 ships with armed men and a mark of a terrorist organization. "Soldier. Hey, what's inside these boxes?" A man approaches and says. "Some very hard metal is coming and also kryptonite so we can kill the Kryptonian once and for all," the man said. "Soldier. If it's time for him to die since he's a threat to us, how many crates of this metal are there?" "Man. There are 300 boxes in total and only 2 of kryptonite since Lucifer created other copies of kryptonite." "Soldier. Haha, I'm surprised that." Then the whole ship was violently shaken by something. The alarms went off very quickly and they went into combat position. The microphones crackled. "Attention, attention, a hostile has been detected 30 meters away, prepare to open fire." Everyone was a little scared that maybe it was Superman. But then. I. A scream like that of a child or a young person was heard inside the ship where gunshots and very loud shaking began to be heard. Then something shot out like a rocket and fell again, but this time engulfed in flames until it landed next to the ship, causing it to move violently. The men started shooting, but it seemed that nothing could hurt him. They see in the sky a subject with a red cape, a somewhat strange armor and a red mask that covered his entire face except for his eyes and where his mouth was made a large line, but he was tied with something white. "Ping shoot." Was the shout of the subject firing a golden sphere that, upon hitting the ship, caused a very strong explosion that burned 40 men. The crates fell into the sea, but underneath them they were being transported by something strange. Then the subject rises into the sky again, but this time to a greater height and drops like a meteorite until he is enveloped again, but this time as a gigantic red and black sphere and falls into the middle of the ship, causing a great explosion. Everyone was somewhat scared by what happened since Superman didn't kill anyone. But they saw that they could see the same subject floating from the fire. He was holding a man in his hands, but then he made his eyes glow before killing him with a shot to the head, piercing it. He sets his sights on the other ships, then goes at great speed and lifts a huge piece of the still exploding ship and throws it in a blaze of fire. The others were frightened and tried to flee, but it was useless as the fragment fell on top of the ship, destroying the captain's section. Then the boat shakes violently until they feel as if it is being lifted, because underneath the boat the subject was lifting the boat using both hands. From the city everyone could see what was happening, especially a man in a black cloak who was observing this with a serious expression on his face. "Inform Superman Diana about this as quickly as possible." "I understand, Batman." The transmitter shuts off. He looks back at the ship until he sees that it's now more than 600 meters away. "Batman. What's going on and who is that guy?" In the air, the subject, seeing that they were more than 700 meters high, struck the part where he was holding the ship, causing it to crack from the impact. Inside, many things were broken by the blow, causing the ship to begin to split in half. The men screamed in fear of dying. The ship was slowly being torn apart until it could no longer withstand the strain and broke in two. These 2 parts began to plummet downwards, witnessed by everyone in the city. Batman, seeing this, became alert until he saw a laser beam larger than Superman's fall upon the ship, causing it to burst into flames and slowly explode, as did the other part. Inside the ship, the men's cries of pain could be heard, but nothing could be done to save them. Both parts fell into the water, exploding into pieces, and the fragments rose to a height of a few meters. Then the subject descends with superhuman speed, only to deliver a powerful blow to a ship, causing it to explode into pieces, and then grabs it with both hands, only to slam it with the other ship that was trying to escape. Now one could see a landscape of destruction caused by the burning ships. There were many helicopters flying around the subject, and those were news and police helicopters. One of them approaches him and shines a light on him to see what it was, and to his surprise, he was looking at them. The news anchor is speaking to him. "Who are you?" The subject speaks in a terrifying voice. "You can call me Brightburn, the son of darkness, or darkness, the new protector of this world." This news surprised everyone in the metropolis. "Where are you from and what do you do?" Brightburn: "I'm from Krypton, just like Superman, or better known as Kal-El, but I'm stronger than him, and that's evident in what I've done. I will bring justice, something Superman hasn't done in all this time, because the villains always get out of prison and return to cause fear, but it's time someone showed them what true fear is." Many people did agree with that, so they all sided with Brightburn. Brightburn: "I will protect them, no matter what, because now the son of darkness has been born, see you soon Metropolis." It shoots up into the sky like a cannonball, but faster. Now many were shouting the name of Brightburn. 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 That man. Who is Brightburn? He also mentioned that he was a Kryptonian. I must inform Clark about this. That man isn't necessary. That man checks out Superman and looks at him with a serious expression. Superman: "I saw what happened and let me tell you, he looks very strong and aggressive." That man: "Have you heard of him?" Superman: "No, but his mark on his chest is, and it's the same as the one on the plane that crashed near Japan." That man: "Did he board the plane with 200 passengers?" Superman: "Yes." That man: "Honestly, we've now found someone stronger than you, what will we do?" Superman: "We need to find out more about him. I suppose Avenger also knew what's going on here, so we need to be on alert since you know Avenger very well." That man: "If I tried to join him to his group?" Superman: "Come on, we need to know what was on those ships." Chapter 4. At Kuoh Academy, Issei's stepsister, AM, could be seen in the occult research club, looking sad because her brother hadn't come home the night before. She was very worried, fearing something bad had happened to him. While lost in thought, she didn't notice the presence of 4 hooded figures, but when she did, she was shocked to see the faces of 3 of them. Her sister, her mother, and her childhood friend. AM: "Mom, Dad, Yumi, Irina," she said, shocked. Nikki: "Daughter, are you perhaps," she said, shocked at Demon. Yumi: "Sister, why?" Irina: AM: "It was my decision, Mother. Forgive me," she said sadly. Nikki: "Where is she?" AM: "What are you talking about, Mom?" Nikki: "Where's your brother?" She said seriously, "Is he a demon too?" AM: "No, Mom, he doesn't know anything about the supernatural world," she said, relieved. Nikki: "I understand, daughter. I hope she never enters this world because I don't want anything bad to happen to her." Yumi: "But where is Issei?" He said worriedly. AM: "I don't know," she said, frightened. "I didn't come home to sleep last night." Irina: "What happened to him?" She said, upset. AM: Rias. "He's resting at his friend's house." She lied about Issei's whereabouts. Nikki: "Rias, I never thought you were a demon, but this is no time for surprises. Now we must talk about a matter of utmost importance," she said with a serious look. Everything unfolded as in the original story, with Hyoudou and AM fighting against Zenobia and Irina, resulting in the exorcists emerging victorious. Now we find ourselves in the Hyoudou family home, in the living room where they were all gathered, discussing the theft of the Excalibur fragments, until the front door was opened by our protagonist. Issei: "I'm already home," he said in a bored and annoyed tone. Nikki: "Son," she said with tears in her eyes. Yumi: "Brother." Irina: "Issei." AM: "Where have you been? You had us worried sick," she shouted, looking at her brother. Issei: "Where I go is none of your business," he said angrily. Nikki: "Son, please, we don't want to argue, we just want." She didn't finish as she was interrupted by Issei. Issei: "I'm not interested, and now if you'll excuse me, I'm going to my room, or well, if it's still my room since they probably gave it to a certain someone," he said, looking at the blonde in the group who just looked sad. AM: "Don't tell him that," she said angrily. Issei: "So much for the so-called sister who abandoned me and lied to the school, saying I was a pervert who would try to abuse any girl," he said furiously. AM: Issei: "You stabbed me in the back," he said angrily. "You and Odom are the same, the only difference is that one is a traitorous bitch and the other is a slut who sleeps with anyone," he said with disgust, leaving his sister crying. Nikki: "Apologize to your sister now," she shouted angrily. Issei. Excuse me. Ha. Don't make me laugh. No matter how much you try to fix things with me, the damage is already done. He shouted angrily, so don't come at me with cheap excuses and leave me alone. You've already screwed me over my whole life, now don't screw me over again, understand? He shouted angrily, leaving his sister silent. Yumi and Irina said nothing, they just shed tears, while Zenobia looked at the dark-haired boy with a serious expression. Issei. You, he said, looking at Zenobia. Zenobia. Something's wrong, she said seriously. Issei. I'll give you some advice, he said seriously. Zenobia. What kind of advice? Issei. Don't trust them, they'll stab you in the back, he said, turning around towards his room. Meanwhile, in another, more precise location in the distant forest of the underworld, Alyssa was seen talking to Carol about a certain dark-haired man. Carol. Have you thought about it? Alyssa. I don't know, I'm scared, what if he doesn't want to be my friend? She said, frightened. Alyssa. He suffered a lot just like you, and if you reincarnate him, you'll have a powerful member on your side. Alyssa. You say he possesses a sacred gear? She said, surprised. Carol. That's right. Alyssa. And how do you know that? She asked curiously. Carol. Let's just say a certain blonde-haired crow told me so. Alyssa. Okay Carol, I'll believe you. Carol. Well, let's go, we need to rest since tomorrow we'll be looking for members for your entourage, she said smiling. Alyssa. Thank you, Carol, she said happily. Time had passed and it was night in the city. We found ourselves in the room of our dark-haired friend who was looking at the stars from his window until he decided to read the note his brother's odd. Issei had written to him. So these are the designs my brother was talking about. He said, smiling. Ghidorah. Ghidorah. Is something wrong, partner? Asked the Hydra. Issei. Take me somewhere quiet to train. Ghidorah. Right away, partner, he said happily. Issei was sent by Ghidorah to a meadow far from any city where he could train without restrictions. Now I can train without restrictions, and so he began his training, starting by running all over the field, doing sit-ups and squats. While doing this training, he thought about the armor designs contained in the scroll his brother gave him. Issei. What should I create? He said, looking at the scroll. Ghidorah. What do you think of the one that says indestructible? He said, looking at the scroll. Issei. I'll try, but first I need to see my abilities. He gets close to a rock. Dark black oblivion ray, a large dark golden beam comes out of his hand and destroys the entire rock, but also causes an immense explosion in the sky. Ghidorah. Congratulations, partner, you did it on the first try. He said, smiling. Issei. I feel tired, he said, falling to his knees. Ghidorah. It seems you're not ready yet, partner. We need to train your power level so you can perform more jutsus, he said, worried about his partner. Issei. It seems so, but now I must continue training, he said, standing up. I won't give up. Ghidorah. That's the spirit, buddy. He shouted excitedly. Issei continued his training throughout the night until he fell asleep due to exhaustion. The next morning, Issei woke up to find himself in a house, leaving him confused. He didn't know how he ended up there, but suddenly a voice pulled him from his thoughts. I'm surprised to have such a great carrier as you. In his subconscious, he could see Issei facing Ghidorah, but also someone worse than him, since he was bigger and much stronger. He was 230 meters tall, with a large body, muscular arms covered in scales and spikes, two somewhat short but very strong legs, a long and flexible tail with spikes at the tip, two giant and long wings about 370 meters long, spikes on his back. His neck wasn't as long, but it did have a large number of sharp and long teeth, and long horns with many points. Issei. Who are you? I am Bahamut, dragon god of supreme darkness. Issei. Why are you here in my body? Bahamut. I chose you as my host, and I also saw how you destroyed that plane by yourself with the power of Ghidorah. Issei. Did you notice? Bahamut. Yes, and that surprised me since I thought you would use that power for good, he said, looking curiously at Issei. Issei. What did you expect? I'm a Kryptonian, or something like that, since I'm also the reincarnation of an evil one. Bahamut. I know, and that's why I want to know if you will accept my power. Issei. Of course, since I will instill fear in everyone. Elsewhere. Alan. Everything is ready, master. Gabriel, he said with a psychopathic look. Gabriel. Perfect, soon this world will tremble before my power. Ha 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 ha, even more so with this monster. He said madly. Alan. This world will tremble before your power, my lord. Meanwhile, the girls had already woken up and didn't find Issei. They assumed he had left early to study, so they had breakfast and headed off to continue their mission, fighting the exorcist Freed. They ran into Father Balba, the gay sword-loving priest, who escaped along with Freed to regroup with his allies and prepare for the final attack. And that's how we find ourselves at Kuoh Academy during the battle against Gabriel. Mickey. This ends here, Gabriel, surrender. Yumi. We outnumber you. Arena. We will win this battle. Zenobia. In the name of the Lord, you will be defeated by us. Seriously? Guru. Who is Alan? She said, shocked. Alan. Are you surprised, brother? Yumi. Uncle, why? Alan. Simple, my stupid daughter, I don't need you anymore. Now I have a new power and I will destroy you. Guru. Why are you betraying us? He said with tears in his eyes. Alan. For a world at war, he said happily, it's time for them to die, he said madly. Rias. This is complicated things, she thought nervously. Bekeno. Damn it, she said seriously. Hineko. Dangerous, she said nervously. Asia. I'm scared, she said, trembling with fear. Zenobia. Damn it, she said in frustration. Hyoudou. What a problem. Do you mind if I interrupt your fight? Said an imposing voice, revealing white armor with blue orbs. I've come for Gabriel. Chapter 5. Location. Unknown. Issei. Alright old man, what kind of tricks will you teach me? Bahamut. Show some respect, brat. Now listen, I'll teach you all my skills. Issei. Fine, but what kind of skills will you teach me? Don't tell me you're just going to show me your skills. Bahamut. The bastard. Issei. How can I achieve this? Bahamut. First, I will teach you my power so that you can mix it with your DNA and thus become stronger, he said, staring intently at Issei. Issei. Where am I? But he heard a voice that would speak to him. Odom. You tried to abuse me, you're a rapist. Am. You damn spawn, she said mockingly. Mickey. Bastard. He shouted in disgust. Issei. Callan's furious cry. Rias. The baby wants to cry, she said mockingly. Issei. Shut up, you damn girl. He said, trying to hit her, but he couldn't because she disappeared. What happened? Where are they? Issei. Issei. Elias, is that you? He said, shocked. Elijah. Help me, he said, lying on the ground in agony. Issei. Elias. He tried to help him, but couldn't. Damn it, then he saw a group of people brutally beating Elias with all kinds of objects. Leave him alone, you bastards. He shouted furiously, please. After a while of torturing his friend, he just started to cry while his eyes burned and began to bleed. Issei. What the hell? He said, shocked. Incredible, you managed to awaken your Kryptonian power, he said happily. Issei. I understand, but does it last? Bahamut. That doesn't matter, you can use them now because you're a full-fledged Kryptonian, he said seriously. Issei. Let's continue with the old training. Bahamut. So it shall be, he said, smiling. Meanwhile, at Kuoh Academy. The arrival of the White Emperor surprised everyone. Gabriel. What are you doing here, you bastard? He said furiously, are you planning to fight with the Red? My name is Albion and I am here on Azazel's orders. Gabriel, es maldito. Albion. It doesn't matter now, I'll crush your rat face. Do you mind if I join the fight? He said in a serious tone. Hector. Yumi. Brother, she said, surprised. Hector. I'm sorry I'm late, he said, smiling. Gabriel, vaya. Alan. You're late to the party, he said with a psychopathic smile. Hector. I can't believe you betrayed us, uncle, he said angrily. Alan. I only used them, that's all, nothing more. You're all just pawns, he said mockingly. Hector. White Emperor, I will defeat my uncle. Albion. Well, I think Gabriel is mine, he said, looking at the fallen one. Alan. You think you can defeat me? He said, smiling. Balance breaker. Hector. Damn it, he said seriously, I guess I have to get serious too, balance breaker. Everyone was impressed when they saw Hector's armor and the great power it radiated. Albion. My rival is interesting, he said, looking at Hector. Hector. Let's begin the fight. Alan. Of course, he said desperately. They both launched themselves at each other, their fists colliding and generating a gust of wind that sent everyone flying. Then they began throwing punches with great force. Hector struck his father in the back with a powerful kick, while Alan, furious, grabbed Hector's head and applied a neck lock, trying to choke him. He couldn't manage it, as Hector broke free. Hector. That's all, he said, bored. Alan. This is just the beginning, he said, smiling. But the rest of the filler characters. Incredible. This is my brother's power. She said in amazement. Yumi. You can do it, brother. She said, encouraging her brother. Alyssa. It's incredible, she said, watching the battle with intense concentration. Bekeno. Am's brother is incredibly powerful. Hineko. This is on a different level than ours, she said with her neutral expression. Hyoudou. It's a great power, he said, watching the battle. Mickey. Son, he said, watching the fight with concern. Guru. Be careful, son. Zenobia. This is the power of the Red Emperor, she said in surprise. Albion. I guess it's my turn, Gabriel. Gabriel. Ha, you think you can take me on? Albion. As they say in modern times, you should use Vaseline, Gabriel, he said mockingly. Gabriel, maldito. The fight between the two will be the same as the original, while Hector already had his uncle on the ropes. Alan. Damn it, he said furiously. Hector. This fight is over. He said seriously, now you will be imprisoned for the rest of your life for what you did. Alan. Ha 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 ha, that'll never happen, he said, creating a magic circle and disappearing from the place. Mickey. That damned guy escaped, she said furiously. Hector. It doesn't matter, right now we must take care of Irina and the little blonde girl who are hurt, he said, looking at the aforementioned. Albion. Well, since things turned out well, I'll take Gabriel with me, as well as the exorcist, he said, carrying them. Greg. You're ignoring me, white man, he said in a serious tone. Albion. We're on a mission, there's no time to chat, Red. However, your carrier seems promising, he said seriously, I expect a great battle. Greg. Consider it done, White. Albion. Goodbye, he said, disappearing from the place. Hector. I suppose things will get difficult from now on, he said seriously. Mickey. Are you okay, son? She said worriedly. Hector. Yes, mother, don't worry, but where is my brother Issei? He said worriedly. Don't worry, he's safe at home, she said more calmly. Rias. Hector spent a lot of time. Hector. If you laugh for a long time, he said somewhat sadly. Mickey. Well, let's stop talking, we have to go now, children. We must deliver the mission report to Michael Sama, she said, receiving a nod from everyone. Meanwhile, at the Uchiha house. We can see Cal meditating until his student's voice interrupted him. Kazami. Are you alright, sensei? Cal. If Kazami was just meditating. Kazami. I understand, sensei, but I would like to continue with the training, she said seriously. Kazami. I see, you're a very assertive girl. I like a determined person. She said smiling, alright, let's train. Kazami. And I also want to show you my new power, she said excitedly. Cal, aver. Kazami. Is this it? She opens her mouth and blows with great intensity, creating a wave of wind. Cal. Incredible, he said with wide eyes. Kazami. I surprised you, sensei. She said excitedly. Cal. Too much, Well, let's begin some serious training. Kazami. It will be interesting, she said smiling. 6 days later at the occult club. We can see Rias talking to all the members of her entourage about a matter of utmost importance. Rias. Well, kids, as you know, today is the day when the parents will come to see how their children are performing at the academy, she said with a slight smile. Akeno. Things are going to get very interesting, she said smiling, aren't they, Rias? Rias. That's right, Akeno, but tell me, do you know where Am is? She said curiously. Kaneko. She hasn't arrived yet, she said in her typical emotionless tone. Asia. She said she had to do something important. Rias. I understand, apart from that, because something very bad happened a few days ago. He turns on the TV and shows a helicopter displaying what looks like a destroyed passenger plane. The man filming said. In the last few hours, it has been reported that the plane, which was carrying around 240 passengers, was attacked by someone in the sky at 2 a.m. In some parts of the plane, traces of heat or something that broke it in half have been found, causing it to explode and fall on a small town in Japan. There are no survivors after the crash, but we managed to find this strange symbol. It shows the symbol that was like 2 squares above its points, but with a line crossing through the middle of it. Rias turns off the TV. Rias. Someone is causing this disaster. Meanwhile with Am. She was heading towards the academy when she suddenly spotted a silver-haired boy wearing leather pants and a leather jacket. Hello Am, Hyoudou, she said calmly. Am. Who are you? She said nervously. My name is Bali and I am the White Dragon, he said with a slight smile. Am. My brother Hector's destined rival, she said, surprised. What are you looking for here, White Dragon? Bali. I wanted to meet the bearer of Leviathan, the monster of the seas, she said smiling. Am. What do you mean? She said doubtfully. Bali. You are the host of the sea monster Leviathan, he said bored, but from what I see you failed to awaken your power. Am. What does that matter? She said, annoyed. Bali. How many digits do you think you're at? Am. What do you mean? She said seriously. Bali. Maybe in 4 digits since you haven't gotten your balance breaker yet, he said mockingly. Didn't they teach you that it's perverted to stand outside a girls' school? He said seriously. Bali. I didn't expect you to come, my rival, he said smiling. Hector. You saw me, now long white dragon, otherwise your leader will have problems, he said seriously. Ollie. We'll meet again, Hector Hyoudou, he said as he started walking away from the academy. Hector. Are you okay, AM? AM. Yes brother, I'm fine, but what are you doing here? She said curiously. Hector. I'm here accompanying mom for parents visiting day at the academy, he said, smiling. AM. Just because of that, she said, embarrassed. Did you me come too? Hector. If she's with mom, they'll be here in a few minutes, he said, smiling. Besides, we need to talk about something very important. AM. What's this about, brother? She said, intrigued. Hector. It's about the meeting of the 3 biblical factions that will be organized at the academy, he said seriously. AM. The 3 sides will meet because, she said, shocked. Hector. To discuss the issue of Gabriel and a possible peace alliance, he said, further surprising his sister. AM. Incredible, I didn't expect this, brother, she said, very surprised. Hector. Well, let's go to the sister academy, he said smiling. AM. Okay brother, she said happily. Underworld. Peril. We're almost ready, Alyssa. We just need a few more things and then we can go to the human world to talk to Issei, she said, smiling. Rias. I know, Carol, but I have a feeling something's going to happen, she said, sounding a little nervous. Peril. I don't think so. Elsewhere. We can see a pink-haired girl walking through the streets of Kuoh. Lilam. My darling, I'm almost there, she said with a sweet smile. With our protagonist. Bahamut. Congratulations, in these few days you have made great progress, brat, he said smiling. Issei. That's right, old man, now I just have to keep training to increase my power even more, he said with a smile in the style of his father. Bahamut. Excellent. Harem. Medium principal. Office. Alyssa Gremory. Nod. Invalid Leviathan. Lilith. Irie Harmonita Issei. Izuki Kazami Harmonita Issei. Milam Nava. Chapter 6. In the previous chapter. Our protagonist continues training with a mysterious Uchiha while preparations are made for the faction meeting. Let's begin with the chapter. Issei. Hey kid, will you tell me your name or not? He said irritably. Okay, little one, I'll tell you my name, she said seriously. I'm Ellen, and I'm your niece. Issei. Oh, wait, what, you're my niece? He said, flustered. Ellen. Didn't Zod tell you about me? Issei. Yes, but I forgot, he said, causing a bead of sweat to form on Ellen's forehead, but how are you still alive? Ellen. This is thanks to my Kryptonian power. With it I managed to stay alive long enough to see the world, she said, smiling. Issei. I understand, but what will happen to you now? He said seriously. Ellen. I'm going to disappear, but don't worry, dude, I'll train you enough so that you become the most powerful Kryptonian of all time, she said, smiling. Issei. Thank you for that, Ellen, but I have a question. How come the Hyoudou don't notice my absence? He said curiously. Ellen. That's because I put all those people in an illusion so they wouldn't detect you and so I could train, he said seriously. Issei. I see, you're very strong, he said smiling. Ellen. That's right, but it doesn't matter, we must continue training, but first I want to give you a gift. Issei. Okay, he said curiously. Ellen. This outfit is for you to use, she said smiling. Issei. Thank you for this, he said, putting on the suit. Ellen. Now we're going to train, he said seriously. Issei. Yes, Ellen, he said, smiling. But the Gremory group. They were making preparations for the evening meeting while chatting with Hector about trivial things. Rias. It's a surprise that you're an exorcist, Hector, with, well, you know, your old reputation and attitude, she said, smiling. Hector. Things change, but tell me something, how is my little brother Issei? He said curiously. Rias. She doesn't want to know anything about me, your sisters, or your parents, she said sadly. Hector. I see, perhaps I should speak with him after the meeting tonight, he said with a sigh. Bekeno. A question. Hector. What kind of question? He said, intrigued. Bekeno. Why does Issei hate them? Hyoudou. That's right, even when he interacted with Asia, he looked at her in a bad way, he said, recalling that moment. Kaneko. She mentioned that you found a replacement, she said neutrally. The thing is. Hector. We made a serious mistake, that's why he hates us. Asia. What kind of mistake? She said worriedly. Hector. For now I will say nothing, I will explain in due time, he said seriously. Asper. Hector senpai is scary. You'll get used to it. Zenobia. I'm leaving, Madam President. If you need me, just call me, she said, receiving a nod from Rias. Bekeno. What happened to him? Rias. No idea. Hector. Maybe he had something important to do, he said calmly. But Zenobia. She was walking through the hallways remembering Issei. Zenobia. What's happening to me? Why can't I stop thinking about him? And what were those words? She said, frustrated, never trust him. What did he mean? Or is it something else? Hello, said a beautiful girl with pink hair. Zenobia. Hello. I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself. My name is Milam Nava, she said with a smile. Zenobia. What is it you want to know? She said curiously. Milam. Do you know where the student Hyoudou Issei is? She said eagerly. Zenobia. I'm sorry, I haven't seen it, she said with a nervous smile. Milam. Well, thank you, excuse me, what's your name? She said, embarrassed. Zenobia. Zenobia Corda, she said seriously. Milam. It's a pleasure, Zenobia. I hope we meet again, she said, smiling. Zenobia. Same here, goodbye, she said, leaving the place. Milam. Issei, where are you, my precious one? She said with a perverted smile and heart-shaped eyes. Meanwhile, with Issei. Issei. How strange. Ellen. What's happening? He asked curiously. Issei. I felt like something bad was happening to me, he said nervously. Ellen. Okay, now let's finish the training, there's very little time left, he said seriously. Issei. Okay, he said, smiling. We can see in a forest a blonde with a reed standing in front of 4 girls. Peril. To be honest, my friend is looking for members for her nobility and you are the one, she said calmly. Alyssa. Carol, don't say it like that, it's very embarrassing, she said, stuttering. Asuna. And what would we gain by being part of your demon nobility? She said curiously. Sinan. I doubt you have anything that would interest us, she said, bored. Valeria. I'm sorry, but I will not join your nobility, she said respectfully. Selena. Yes, you'd better leave, she said angrily. Peril. But I have something that might interest you, she said, smiling. Selena, Valeria, Sinan, Asuna. That would be serious, they said in unison. Peril. Issei Hyoudou, she said smiling, he's very special to you, isn't he? After all, you're descendants of some beings. Asuna. What do you have planned for she said seriously. Peril. My friend will make him her new partner, she said with a sinister smile. Sinan. Even if that's the case. Selena. Well, if he's there, I'll join your nobility, she said, smiling. Valeria. Me too. But Issei will accept, she said, intrigued. Alyssa. I don't want to force him, but Carol keeps insisting, she said, embarrassed. Peril. He says the closet pervert who gets off on the picture I gave her of Issei, she said mockingly. Alyssa. Carol. She shouted, her face the color of her hair. Peril. He. Asuna. Issei is mine. She said furiously. Sinan. You mean ours, she said seriously. Selena. They wish. Valeria. Greedy, she said, looking seriously at her sister. Alyssa. Things are getting complicated, she said with a sigh. Peril. It seems so, she said with a sinister smile. The hours passed and the parents' event began at Kuoh Academy, where we can see AM's parents watching their daughter's performance with beautiful smiles that hid their sadness. AM. Damn, what figure am I going to make? She thought frustrated, I already know. Asia. AM-san, what are you doing? She said curiously. AM. The best sculpture in the world, she said smiling. Zenobia. That's it, she said, surprised. AM. He. Professor. You have incredible talent, Miss AM, he said, surprised. Aika. It's so amazing, AM, she said, observing AM's figure in detail. Hadis. But what is it? She said, intrigued. AM. My brother and I, she said with her cheeks flushed. Murayama. Well, AM, why are you both half naked? She said, looking at the figure. AM. Ah well, that's it, unimportant details, don't take it into account, she said nervously. Murayama. Okay, he said with a poker face. Aika. I offer you my figure in exchange for yours. AM. No. Hadis. Come on, don't be like that, AM. AM. She's mine, she's my precious one, she said seriously. All of this was observed by AM's parents, Mickey and Guru, who only chuckled slightly at their daughter's behavior. They were also intrigued by the clay figure of their daughter, but decided not to dwell on it and continued with their own business. The hours passed until they encountered Hector, who was accompanied by Ria's parents, her older brother Sirzechs, Gremory, Lucifer the sister-in-law, and their servant Grayfia, for now cough. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Mickey and Guru. My name is Venelana Gremory, she said with a smile. It's an honor to meet you. My name is Issei Gremory, he said with a smile. Sirzechs. How are Miss Mickey and Mr. Guru? He asked curiously. Mickey. It's a pleasure to meet you all, and regarding your question, Sirzechs, don't know, I find myself a little calmer and somewhat nervous about the meeting, she said, looking at Mao. Sirzechs. I understand, but there's no need to worry, everything will be alright, he said smiling. Grayfia. And how is your relationship with your youngest son, Miki-sama and Guru-sama? The maid asked. Miki? What can I do? He's very rebellious, she said sadly. I was a bad mother, I even fear he's going down the wrong path, she said worriedly. Grayfia. It seems things are getting complicated. Venelana. You don't know how to lose hope, Miki. I'm sure everything will turn out well between you and your son, she said, smiling. Miki. Thank you, Venelana, she said, wiping away her tears. Guru. Yes, thank you, that way perhaps we can correct the mistake we made. Meanwhile, we find ourselves in a forest where we can observe many figures fighting. Give up, you have nowhere else to go, he said seriously. Very persistent, but I won't do it, regardless of whether you're an envoy of Lucifer, he said with a smile, and killed him with one blow. It's a pleasure to see you, and you too, old friends. Emma. Irie, why are you doing this? He said seriously. Irie. Why do you think, copy ninja? He said seriously, because of my younger sister, Kazami Kazuki. You let the Kryptonian destroy our only chance to recreate our civilization. Besides, you sent her to go after kryptonite remnants knowing she was still very young, and those wretched members of her team abandoned her, he said angrily, even our parents didn't care. That's why I'm doing this, and now all of you will die, but not before you show me my new transformation, he said as his power increased and covered his body, revealing black armor. Emma. This is serious. Mark. It seems so, Emma, he said, looking at Irie. Andrew. Let's be vigilant. Helios. Irie, he thought, looking at the blonde man. Then 10. Incredible, she said nervously. Are you having fun, cousin? Said a female voice. Irie. Not without you, my cousin, she said, looking at the newcomer Bran Max. Bran Max. He's here to help you, he said, smiling. Irie. Thank you, cousin, she said happily and now prepare to disappear. Post scene. In the occult club, everyone was watching TV about what happened a few days ago regarding the attack on the ships and the new hero or villain who has caused fear and panic. They could see in the videos forests on fire and a being flying above the smoke, another of the same being but inside a building causing it to collapse. Rias. Who is that guy? Venelana. I don't know, daughter, but whoever it is has great strength. Reporter. Excuse me, we've just been informed that in Chicago, Brightburn has just attacked a terrorist facility that was creating weapons to kill the two heroes called Avenger and Superman. The video showed a building on fire, but then something happened. Something emerged from inside. It fired large laser beams that destroyed a large part of the building, causing it to move slightly. Then, at great speed, it began destroying everything inside until it emerged from the roof, falling to the ground. At that moment, it gathered a large amount of energy in its hand and, upon releasing it, said something. Arcing shoot. The large sphere shoots out, blowing the place to pieces. Many wondered how he could do that, and according to what they said, there were no deaths, but there were injuries, and there were 300 terrorists in total, and only one managed to survive, but he was annihilated by Brightburn, who smashed his head and flew away after completing his mission. Rias. She has a dragon-type sacred gear. Hector. That's true, but we need to know who he is and what kind of sacred gear he has, because he's exposing the supernatural to the human world. Chapter 7. Okay, let's begin the chapter. I hope you like it. Bran Max. Let's finish quickly, Naruto, I'm a little bored, she said, looking at her cousin. Irie. As you wish, she said, smiling. Kakashi. I guess fighting is unavoidable, right? He said seriously. It seems so, he said, preparing for battle. Irie lunged at Kakashi, landing a kick on the silver-haired man, who managed to block it with great effort. Drawing a sword coated in liquid kryptonite, Kakashi attempted to pierce Irie's heart, but it was impossible. The white-haired woman was too fast, so he had no other option but to use his hidden power to try and stop him, trapping him in a large pile of rocks. Kakashi. I did it, he said, breathing heavily. Irie. Nice try, but it was in vain, he said mockingly. Kakashi. Lightning dragon curse, he shouted, summoning a lightning dragon that struck Irie directly. Irie. You won't be able to escape this. She fires a large laser beam from her chest and fists. Both attacks collided, generating a fog that blinded everyone, while Bran Max created a huge metal monster with which he attacked Guy, who defended himself by throwing punches at the golem. Emma. Wow, you're very powerful, she said with a drop of sweat on her cheek. Mark. It seems so, Emma, he said, looking at Bran Max. Bran Max. I suppose I should feel flattered that someone like you would say that to me, she said boredly. Andrew. Let's continue, he said, ready for battle. Bran Max. Well, he said, looking at the dark-haired man. Boom. An explosion had distracted both combatants, revealing Emma agitated and Naruto with slight scratches. Irie. That's all, she said seriously. Emna. This isn't over yet, he said agitatedly. Irie. Okay, let's finish this quickly, he said seriously. Brandmax. Irie, he said seriously. Irie. What's happening? She said, looking at her cousin. Irie. More of Luther's men are approaching, she said seriously. Irie. Shit, for now they're safe, let's go, he said seriously. Brandmax. Yes. You're leaving so soon? He said mockingly. Irie. Akeem, he said seriously. Akeem? Irie, I really didn't think you'd be part of UCal, he said seriously. Irie. Well, I didn't have anything else to do, it's my family, she said boredly. Akeem. Our fight will have to wait, he said seriously. Irie. Goodbye old friend, she said, disappearing from the place. Akeem. Emma-sensei, I see that this time they really beat the crap out of you, she said, looking at the subject. Emma. Yes, he said, sounding pained. With our white-haired girl. Irie. Shit, we were close, damn it, he said angrily. Brandmax. Cousin, don't feel bad, he said smiling, everything will be alright, he said hugging Irie. Irie. I miss Ani-chan, she said sadly for her brother. Brandmax. We'll be going for him very soon, as he needs to be with his family again. Irie. It's true, let's go back to our parents. But Balthazar. He was meditating until he felt a very strong energy coming from the vicinity of Tokyo. Balthazar. This power is Irie, he said, looking towards the forest. Kazami. It seems the leaf ninjas made him angry, he said mockingly. Balthazar. It seems so, he said calmly. UCal. I don't understand why Luther always sends his men to kill us, she said, intrigued. Balthazar. Even if he wanted to, he wouldn't allow it, he said, looking at the aforementioned woman. Kazami. I'm not ready to see my brother until I'm as strong as him, she said determinedly. UCal. I understand, she said more calmly. Balthazar. Well, let's not dwell on this matter any longer, he said calmly. It's odd. I should tell my mom that my brother Issei lost his virginity at a young age, he thought hesitantly. Balthazar. What are you thinking about? He said, looking at Zod. Zod. Nothing, unimportant things, he said nervously. Balthazar. Okay, but I won't wait any longer, Zod. We're going to the city where my son lives, he said seriously. UCal. Yes, I really want to see my baby, she said with stars in her eyes. Kazami. Meeting Sensei's son, he said with a smile. Zod. Well, let's go, he said resignedly. Meanwhile, with our protagonist. He had already completed part of his training with Bahamut. Issei. We're done, he said, looking at Bahamut. Bahamut. I honestly got the best holder of all time. Issei. You won't always get someone like me, and you know that very well. Bahamut. I know you have caused some fear among criminals and villains throughout the world. Issei. Yes, and something tells me I have to do something tomorrow. Bahamut. Well, I have to go to sleep, buddy. Issei. Rest in peace, Bahamut. Our protagonist decided to return to the Hyoudou family home. A few hours later, he was near the house, but he sensed a very strong presence there. He assumed it was demons, but to avoid dwelling on it, he decided to go inside. He found Mrs. Hyoudou talking to a brunette and a silver-haired woman, while Hector spoke with the two redeeds, and the girls simply watched. Mickey. Issei, son, you're back. She said, trying to hug him. Issei. Leave me alone, he said, moving away from the woman, which angered the other two. Venelana. You shouldn't treat your mother like that, child, she said angrily. Issei. They weren't taught to meddle in other people's business, he said seriously. Grayfia. That's not the way to answer, she said seriously. Issei. Whatever, he said, going up to his room, but it was useless as Hector stopped him. Hector. We need to talk, he said seriously. Issei. Well, what do we have here, my so-called brother? Do you want to fight? He said seriously. Hector. Issei, I've already changed, just like our mother and sisters. Issei. And what do you want me to do? I applaud them, seriously, they are idiots, he said angrily. I will never forgive them, besides, if you don't take your hand away you will regret it, he said with a murderous look. Hector complied with Issei's request, while everyone remained silent until AM decided to speak. AM. Why did you arrive so late, brother? She said jealously. Yumi. That's true. Issei. It's not your problem, so I'm leaving, he said, going up to his room and closing the door. Sirzechs. What a character, he said in a calm tone. Zeoticus. Well, I think it's best if we leave, Venelana, he said, looking at his wife. Venelana. Okay, she said, nodding. Zeoticus. We'll meet again another time, Mrs. Mickey, he said, bidding farewell to the brunette. Mickey. I have to go, I'll see you later, she said, leaving the house with tears in her eyes. Sirzechs. Well, we're going to, Grayfia he said, receiving a yes from his mate. Grayfia. Take care everyone she said, disappearing from the place along with Lucifer. Leaving the young people in the room, which remained silent until Am spoke. Am. He will never forgive us she said with tears in her eyes. Yumi. Brother she said, looking at the ground with tears in her eyes. Eyes. Don't worry Am, you'll see that he will forgive them he said with determination. Hector. Exactly, we mustn't lose hope he said, smiling. Asia. I will support them too she said smiling. Akeno. You can count on our support too she said with a smile. Hineko. We'll help senpai she said with her typical expression. Hyoudou. That's right, President, we'll help you said the prince. Zenobia remained silent throughout, so she simply opted to leave the place, saying that she had something important to do. Meanwhile, in our protagonist's room, he was meditating until he felt the presence of Mickey Hyoudou. Issei. Ghidorah, did you feel that? He said seriously. Ghidorah. Looks like he's having problems, he said, bored. Issei. Wow he said simply. Ghidorah. You'll help her he said curiously. Issei. Why should I go? He said seriously. Ghidorah. I don't know maybe it can help you test your powers he said smiling. Issei. Maybe you're right, but damn it, I'm going to do it, he said with a sigh, I just hope it doesn't cause me any problems. With Mickey Hyoudou. She was walking through the park with a sad expression, thinking about the things her son had said. Now she was devastated. If only she had been a true mother, capable of giving her life for her children. Mickey. Issei she said sadly as she watched the couples leaving the restaurants with their children, causing her to feel a great pain in her chest to think, I also had a beautiful family however, I ruined everything. I was a stupid woman who will never have my son's forgiveness she said, walking away from the place until everything disappeared what the hell. Greetings Mickey Hyoudou, Princess of Fire she said with a mocking smile. Mickey? Who are you? Or better yet, how do you know that, you bastard? She said angrily. Oh my name is Good He it's funny you ask Mickey if you and I used to be boyfriend and girlfriend, she said smiling. Mickey? It can't be, you're she said trembling Izuku. Izuku? Hahaha, I'm glad you remembered me, love he said with a smile. Mickey? What happened to you? She said trembling. Izuku? I don't know maybe it was the fact that you betrayed me with that damn Guru, just because he was so different, he was smart and all, and besides, because he had power, he said angrily he replaced me, you even had a child with that bastard, but you know what really disappointed me the most? He said with a cold look that you changed because of him, you became arrogant, you even mistreated your own son, ha 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 he said mockingly. Mickey? What do you want from me? She said crying. Izuku? I'll kill you for what you did to me he said with a smile. Mickey? Please forgive me she said, frightened. Izuku? Hahaha, why should I do it if you're just an insect? He said seriously, now you'll see what I'm capable of, Fire Princess he said, raising his power as his form changed. Mickey? What are you? Izuku? Your worst nightmare now it's time to fight he said, launching himself at Mickey who blocked his attack with difficulty. Mickey? I will save you one way or another she said, beginning to raise her power and activate her armor. Izuku? Let's finish this he said seriously. Mickey? That's how it will be she said seriously. Chapter 8. Izuku? Hahaha, what's wrong? Why so serious? He said mockingly. Mickey? I will save you from the darkness that consumes you she said seriously. Izuku? How did you save your son Issei? He said mockingly. Mickey? Shut up. The woman screamed furiously, throwing a punch at the green-haired boy's face, who simply blocked it as if it were nothing, then kicked her in the face, sending her crashing into some trees and shattering them in the process. Izuku? How pathetic he said bored I thought you'd be stronger, but I see you're just as weak as that day you begged for my help. Mickey? Shut up, I can still fight she said, standing up. Izuku? Weakling he said, appearing behind Mickey were you looking for me? He said, hitting Mickey. Mickey? Ah. Damn it, I won't give up she said breathlessly take this. Flamethrower. She shoots a very powerful fire. Izuku? Weak he said, joining his palms and clapping, deflecting Mickey's attack. Mickey? What the heck? Ahhhhh. She screamed as she felt her own attack. Izuku? Hahaha, you know very well that I'm physically superior to you, Mickey. Besides, you'd be surprised what I can achieve just using my strength he said smiling this reminded me of when I fought Vasco, he said smiling hahaha, damn, that day was crazy. I don't know how I managed to survive, but it was fun, and thanks to that fight, I've managed to improve a lot. Mickey? You confronted him she said agitatedly why? Izuku? Vasco trained me, but I decided to stop believing in him, so I decided to continue on my own path. Even if I have to face my master again, I would gladly do it. A battle of good versus evil, he said with a big smile. Mickey. I miss our happy times, she said weakly. Izuku. Me too, he said, grabbing Mickey by the neck. Now die. Mickey. Issei, forgive me, she said as she slowly closed her eyes. Am I interrupting something? Said a man wearing a red cape and a mask. Izuku. Who the hell are you? He asked angrily. Before that, let her go, do you want her to turn blue? Izuku. TSK well, he said, throwing Mickey against a wall. Well, my name is Brightburn, and yours, sir, he said in an elegant tone. Izuku. How kind, hahaha. My name is Izuku Midoriya, but you can call me Deku, he said politely. Brightburn. Well, whatever, let's start the fight, he said, disappearing and reappearing behind Izuku. Death. He yelled, hitting Izuku in the face and hurting him. Izuku. You're strong, but still, he said, smiling. Smash. Both blows collided, generating a shockwave that destroyed the trees in the area, while a weakened Mickey just watched the fight. Mickey. Who is he? She said, sounding pained. Izuku. What an incredible fight. Laughs maniacally. Issei. If you say so, haha, he said with a smile. Izuku. I want you to tell me why you're defending her, he said seriously. Issei. To be honest, I don't care. I only did it because a friend asked me to, that's all, he said seriously. Izuku. I see, he said, looking at Mickey. Hahaha, it seems the company is approaching. Well, I suppose I can't stay for long. Feel relieved, Mickey, that I didn't kill you, but don't worry, we'll meet again soon to complete my revenge, he said, smiling, before disappearing in a torrent of speed. Brightburn. How troublesome, he sighed. Mickey. Thank you for saving me, she said, breathing heavily. Brightburn. Whatever, he said with a sigh, then dodged a fire attack. Yumi. What did you do to my mom? She said angrily. Hector. Mother, he said, looking at the aforementioned injured woman. You. She said, raising her aura. Rias. How dare you hurt her? She said, generating a sphere of destruction. Mickey. Wait. He saved my life, he's not our enemy, she said wearily. Hector. Heal mom, he said, looking at his sisters. I must thank you for saving my mother. Brightburn. I'm not interested, and remember this. I'm not your friend, and if I saved you, it was for convenience, he said seriously, so with your permission, I'll leave, he said seriously, but he was stopped by Am. Who do you think you are to treat us like this? She said angrily. Brightburn. Long, she said, showing her red eyes, indicating that she was going to use her heat rays, forcing her ex-sister back. I'm sorry, she said, frightened. Brightburn. Whatever, he said, turning his back on them. Rias. Wait, what are you? She asked, intrigued. Brightburn. I am Brightburn, the son of darkness and the son of Krypton, he said coldly. Rias. Yes, you know you're exposing the supernatural to the world. No, you shouldn't do that, he said angrily, since he had many issues with his brother who was telling him that he had to eliminate that subject, but he couldn't because his skin was made of steel and he knew the Kryptonians very well. Brightburn. What I do is none of your business. I'll be gone very soon. We'll meet again, he said, then jumped and disappeared into the darkness as the sounds of cannons could be heard in the sky. Hector. He seems very strong, he said seriously. Yumi. Yes, she said, frightened. It doesn't matter, let's go to mom, we have to help her, she said worriedly. While the group was helping Mickey, our protagonist was jumping over buildings as if nothing was happening until he felt a presence following him. Issei. He asked me, who are you? He said calmly. My name, haha, well you don't have to know it, he said mockingly. Issei. Funny, hahaha, I think I'll call you princess, he said mockingly. Princess. Call me whatever you want, I don't care, I just have one question for you, she said seriously. Issei. What would the question be? Said the black-haired boy. Princess. Let's just say your power is interesting to me. Wouldn't you like to join my group? She said with a smile. Issei. I'm sorry, but I'm not interested in joining a group since I'm very busy with my own affairs, he said seriously. Princess. Puppy, you shouldn't answer like that, you could die, she said while showing her eyes that shone brightly. Issei. I wasn't joking, and I recommend you leave if you don't want to die, he said angrily. Princess. You win, but this won't be the last time we meet, he said seriously. Issei. Whatever, he said, watching her disappear from the place. Who the hell is that girl? Ghidorah. I don't know, partner, but it's best to be alert. We can't let our guard down, he said seriously. However, the energy in your house was from a super demon. Issei. You mean the retard with the troll face? He asked doubtfully. Ghidorah. Yes, even though it may not seem like it, he is strong, he said seriously. Issei. I understand, so that guy is strong, he said with a slight smile, so a super demon is roaming around the city. Something very important must have happened for him to be here. What do you think, Ghidorah? Ghidorah. Most likely, something would happen that would jeopardize the fragile peace between the three biblical factions, he said seriously. Issei. I understand well, let's not dwell on this anymore and I'd better go to sleep he said, running towards his house. Meanwhile in Gregory. We can observe Kularmine talking to a dark-haired woman and a dark-haired man with blonde streaks. Middled. Well, Azazel don't know what will happen now with the meeting. She said curiously. Azazel. Well, we'd better prepare ourselves, since Gabriel's stupidity has put us in a delicate position he said in a relaxed manner. I'm happy that son of a bitch is locked up, he said, smiling. Azazel. Don't get upset, Rainer he said with an anime-style sweat drop. Middled. Well, that did make me happy she said calmly. Rainer. Haha, look who's talking she said mockingly you're sleeping with a boy, aren't you? Middled. What are you talking about? She said, blushing. Rainer. Fufu, I read your diary, silly girl she said mockingly oh Issei Hyoudou, you're the man of my life, I want to have children with you and do it without respect she said, holding back laughter. Middled. You damn pervert, how dare you read my diary? She said with a face as red as her sister's hair. Rainer. Ha 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 ha, you're the pervert she said mockingly. Middled. Traitor she said furiously. Azazel. Ha ha ha, it seems that Issei boy is someone very special. I'd like to meet him he said with a smile, but well, it's time to prepare for the meeting, so get everything ready. Middle trainer. Okay they said in unison. It was already morning in Kuoh City. Families were getting up, birds were singing, and the sun was shining. Near Kuoh Academy, two figures looked down at the place with a bored expression. Ali. So tonight's the meeting he said in a bored tone. I have no interest in this world, said a dark-haired girl with eyes of the same color. Ali. Office he said, looking at the aforementioned. Office. Vali, she said calmly. Ali. A world without God is very boring, he said, looking at the sky. I would have liked to face him. Office. Whatever, I just hope to get my silence back, she said simply. Ali. Well, I need to be ready for tonight he said, disappearing. Office. How long will you continue to watch from the shadows? She said, looking at some trees. Issei. I guess I wasn't good enough at hiding he said calmly. Office. Who are you? Issei. I'm Issei and you? Office. Office Yoroburo she said simply. Issei. Well, it was nice meeting you he said, walking towards the academy I hope we meet again. Office. What was all that about? Who is that boy, really? She said doubtfully I must follow him. Inside the academy, we see Issei walking calmly towards his classroom, watched by his sisters and the girls from the Gremory entourage, until a pink-haired girl appeared and confronted the black-haired boy. I've finally found you she said seriously. Issei. Who are you? He asked seriously. You've already forgotten me, dear Issei. You've forgotten your dear friend who made that childhood promise in the forest, that when we grew up we would pass each other on she said smiling, I am Milam Nava. Issei. It can't be, he said in shock. Chapter 9. Previously. You've already forgotten about me, dear Issei. You've forgotten about your dear friend to whom you made that childhood promise. It's me, Milam Nava she said smiling. Issei. It can't be, he said in shock. Let's begin. The whole atmosphere became tense at the reaction of the dark-haired man who was in a state of shock upon seeing the woman who had stolen his heart. Issei. Milam. He said with light tears in his eyes. Milam. Issei, I love you. Issei, I missed you so much she said, hugging him and giving him a kiss full of love. While all the students watched in shock what was happening, a certain group felt jealous. Who do you think you are? Let it go, you damn bitch. She said furiously. Milam. Why should I do it? She said seriously. He's my brother and I won't let you take advantage of him she said angrily. Mickey. What's wrong, daughter? She said worriedly. Yumi. Mom, this girl wants to take advantage of my brother she said, upset. Hector. Don't you think they're exaggerating? He said nervously. Rias. She's a pervert she said seriously. Mickey. I will politely ask you to stay away from my son she said seriously. Milam. Prosti, Starashka, no Issei moi parent, Ayanabrashu Yego, Cacti, I'm sorry old woman, but Issei is my boyfriend and I don't plan to leave him like you did, she said seriously. No one understood what the girl was saying, but among the people a man appeared who decided to speak. Milam, are you speaking in Russian? He said seriously. Milam. Papa, chto ties deses deleish. You dumel, ty nasa brani, Papa, what are you doing here? I thought you were in a meeting, she said, surprised. Let's just say I wanted to meet the son who stole my princess's heart, he said, smiling. Issei. You're her father he said, amazed to see Elena's father. Well, daughter, it would be best if we spoke with the boy in a more private place he said calmly. Lion. Okay, Dad, are you coming, Issei? He asked the dark-haired man. Issei. Yes, Milim, he said, following the girl. Yumi. Brother, wait, she spoke, but the dark-haired man had already left. Our dark-haired friend was still by Elena's side while her father just smiled, but his expression changed to seriousness. Tell me, boy, what power do you have? He said seriously. Issei. So he knows about the supernatural, he said, surprised. Of course, boy, I know about the supernatural, he said, showing a sword. Issei. That's it, he said, surprised. This is devastation, the sword that belonged to my ancestors, the sword capable of defeating Durandal, he said with a smile. Issei. That's incredible, he said in amazement. Milim. Dad is very strong, she said smiling. Issei. Just by looking at him, you can see his great power, he said in amazement. Well, tell me what kind of power you have, because I'm curious, he said calmly. Issei. This is my power, he said, showing his arm. You are the bearer of the Dragon of Terror, he said in surprise. Issei. That's right, sir, but also. You're very interesting, you also carry Bahamut, huh? I approve, he said smiling. Issei. I approve of you marrying my daughter, he said happily. Issei. He's serious, he said, shocked. Milim. Thank you, Daddy, she said happily. Issei. How unexpected, he said, blushing. Milim. Dad, I'm going with Issei for our date. Of course, daughter, take good care of yourselves. I have to go to your mother. See you later, she said, disappearing from the place. Milim. Let's go, Issei-kun. She said excitedly. Issei. Huh. Yes, he said, following the girl. Note. Issei in this story is very submissive when it comes to his girls, but with others he would be serious. Meanwhile, at Kuoh Academy. Things happened as in the original story. The appearance of Seraphil, the sister, the visit to the Hyoudou house. Now we find ourselves in Hector's room, where he was talking to Rias. Hector. What did you want to talk about, Rias? He asked curiously. Rias. Tell me, Hector, what do you think about me? She said nervously. Hector. I'll be honest with you, I'm not one to judge you. After all, I was bad in the past too, but I'll just say this. You're a beautiful, elegant, and strong girl. Any man would give anything to be by your side, so don't feel inferior, he said, smiling. Rias. Thank you for being honest, Hector, she said happily. Hector. I will help you and your nobility to become stronger, he said smiling. Rias. Seriously? She said, surprised. Hector. Haha, of course you can laugh, he said happily. Rias. Thank you, she said, giving him a kiss on the cheek. Everyone in the mansion was happy, but a certain brunette was worried because her son had left with that Russian blonde girl. Mickey. Issei isn't coming back yet, it's too late, she said, frightened. Don't worry, he'll come back, she said determinedly. Yumi. If mom comes back, or if not, I'll punish him, she said childishly. Hector. There's no doubt about that, he said, appearing next to Alyssa. Riss. Ani-sama informed me that the meeting is about to start, we must go, she said seriously. Hector. Let's go, he said, creating a magic circle. Mickey. Yes, son, he said, following the chestnut-haired boy. They all headed to Kuoh Academy, where the leaders were gathered to discuss Kakabiel's attack. Azazel. I'll just say that Kakabiel acted on his own. I had nothing to do with it, he said calmly. Sirzechs. Even so, their attack put us in a very delicate position, he said seriously. Seraphil. Don't you have control over your people? He said seriously. Azazel. You are the least qualified to say that, he said, smiling. Sirzechs. That's not important. Michael. Many lives could have been lost with the attack on Kakabiel, and I'm happy that Hector helped them, he said happily. Hector. I only did the right thing, Michael Dono, he said calmly. Azazel. Enough of this nonsense, let's sign the peace treaty, after all, that's why you're here, he said, smiling. Sirzechs. I am in favor of peace, he said, smiling. Seraphil. Me too. Michael. I'm in favor, he said, smiling. Azazel. Only the opinion of the red and the white is missing, he said calmly. Hector. I am in favor of peace, he said calmly. Ali. As long as I can fight strong people, I can also have peace, he said simply. Azazel. Even if there is peace, there will always be fights, he said, smiling. Ali. I knew you'd say that. Sirzechs. Well, with everything concluded, we can. What is this? He said, seeing how most of them were paralyzed. Azazel. It seems to be the half-vampire's sacred gear, he said, looking out the window. Seraphil. How dare you bother us? That's rude. She said angrily. Michael. It must be someone with great power to prepare this attack. Ali. It seems the wizards are on your side, he said calmly. Hector. It seems it didn't affect you, Rias, but he said, looking at his mother and sisters frozen. Alyssa. We must save Gasper, she said worriedly. Hector. I'll go with you, Alyssa, he said seriously. Sirzechs. Be careful, both of you, said Mao, worried. Azazel. Volley, why don't you help them? He said calmly. Ollie. Since, he said, appearing outside balance breaker. Albion. Vanishing dragon balance breaker. Ollie. Pathetic, he said, unleashing a burst of power that destroyed many wizards. All the leaders watched a battle. At that moment a magic circle appeared in the middle of the room. Sirzechs. That's him. Greetings faction leaders, he said with a smile. Azazel. Wow. Sirzechs. What are you doing here, Kateria Leviathan? He said seriously. Kateria. I've only come to kill you, she said as the ground began to glow. A huge explosion occurred at the occult club and was witnessed by Alyssa. Rias. Ani-sama, she said worriedly. Hector. Don't worry, they'll be fine. Let's go get Gasper, he said while looking at the entrance. Rias. Your mommy's here, she said, destroying the door. MAGA1. Damn you, die. She screamed furiously. MAGA2. Kill them, she said angrily. Rest of the wizards. Die. They shouted, throwing a lightning bolt towards Hector. Hector. Balance breaker. Dragon, Welsh dragon balance breaker. Hector. Disappear. Dragon shot. He shouted, launching a sphere of dragonic power that killed the sorceresses. Asper. Hector senpai, please kill me, I'm just a threat, he said, shedding tears. Hector. Don't say that, Gasper. You're my little brother that I have to take care of, he said, hugging the blonde boy. Rias. We'll never leave you alone, she said, hugging Gasper. Asper. Thank you, he said happily. Hector. Let's go with the others, he said seriously. Rias. Gasper. Yes, they said as they followed Hector. Like the leaders. Kateria. How pathetic, hahaha, they had to create a barrier together, she said mockingly. Sirzechs. You can still give up, he said seriously. Kateria. Hahaha, me give up. Hahaha, never. The brunette laughed. Seraphil. Katoria-chan, please no, she said worriedly. Kateria. Seraph, you damn daughter of a boar, he said with hatred. Azazel, what are you planning, little brunette? He said mockingly. Kateria. It was to be expected from someone as vulgar as your damned crow, she shouted angrily. Azazel. You look like a movie villain, hahaha, seriously you're weird, he said, appearing in front of Kateria. Kateria. Well, Crow, what are you waiting for? It's time to fight. Azazel. Well, let's start the fight. Kateria. Ha 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 ha, I was waiting for this, finally I can kill you, you damn son of a bitch, she said with a psychopathic smile. Azazel. What the hell? He said, scared. Kateria. Let's play. Chapter 10. In the previous chapter, the Chaos Brigade attacked the leaders at a meeting about the peace treaty. Now the groups are divided. The Chaos Brigade fighting for power and the Alliance fighting for peace and harmony. Azazel, balance breaker. Kateria. You damned son of a bitch. She said furiously, die. Azazel. Oh, interesting, he said, dodging the attack fight seriously. Kateria. You're going to die, she shouted angrily. Azazel. It's tomato, he said, cutting off the Leviathan's arm. Kateria. Ah. Damn. Azazel. This is getting boring. Everyone was amazed by Azazel's armor, but at that moment the Sitri heiress asked where Alyssa was. Sirzechs. He won't be long in arriving. Alyssa. I'm here, she said, smiling. Hector. We already saved Gasper. Michael. I'm glad you made it. I knew I could trust you, Hector, he said, smiling. Hector. It was nothing, Michael-sama. Seraphil. Sona-chan. He shouted happily upon seeing his little sister. Sona. Wani-sama, let me go, she said, red with embarrassment. Mickey. What happened? She asked, looking at the destroyed place. Hector. Long story, Mom, he said seriously. Those damned people, she said, looking at the magicians. Yumi. They froze me, that's rude, she said, puffing out her cheeks. Tsubaki. It seems that everything is more under control, she said, watching Zenobia and Hyoudou fighting against the mages. Irina. Azazel-sama has already defeated Leviathan, she said in surprise. Azazel. I wasn't expecting much, but you surprised me, Kateria, he said calmly. Kateria. Damn it, she said weakly. Azazel. Well, it's time to continue shit, he said, receiving a blow from Volley. Hector. He said seriously. Azazel. Attacking from behind as always, he said, looking at the aforementioned. Volley. Sorry old man, but this side is more fun, he said smiling. Hector. So you were the traitor, he said seriously. Azazel. Hey Volley, I want to confirm something, he said, a little serious. Volley. What do you want to confirm? He said curiously. Azazel. According to my friend Shamhazai, they discovered a small group of rebels from different factions. Do you know anything about that? He said calmly. Ali. Who knows? He said mockingly. Sirzechs. A group like that, with different rebel members from each faction, he said seriously. Michael. It can only be led by a being of great power, he said worriedly. Seraphil. But who could? She said, somewhat nervously. Azazel. That group calls itself the Chaos Brigade and is led by Ouroboros' office, he said seriously. Alyssa. Office, she said, shocked. Who is she? She said, looking at her brother. Hector. Infinito, the most dangerous dragon goddess of all, even God was careful when it came to her, but what is she doing leading a group like that? He said seriously. Ali. Office and I have different goals, mine is to surpass the gods, he said smiling. Azazel. Seriously? And here I thought you had the same goal as Kateria, he said, smiling. Sirzechs. What are you trying to say, Azazel? He said, looking at the fallen one. Azazel. Only Vali doesn't wish to take Lucifer's throne, he said calmly. Seraphil. Lucifer, what does that mean? She said seriously. Ali. My name is Vali Lucifer. I am a descendant of Lucifer's blood and the bearer of the white dragon Albion, he said with a smile. Sirzechs. It can't be, he said, shocked. Michael. God, he said, shocked. Hector. This is serious, he said, looking at the white dragon. Alyssa. A demon with a Longinus, she said, unable to believe it. Zenobia. This is incredible, she said, looking at the celestial dragons. Hyoudou. This is something very unexpected, he said, looking at his teammates. Ali. To clear your minds, I am the son of a human and a demon, that's why I possess a Longinus, he said with a smile. Azazel. Without a doubt the strongest white dragon of the past, present and future, he said calmly. Ali. Miracle is the word that defines me, and don't you think that fate is cruel, Hector Hyoudou? I am a hybrid demon, and you are just an ordinary human with the luck of having a Longinus, he said smiling. Hector. Do you think I care? He said seriously. Ali. I know what I can do to make you strong, I'll turn you into an Avenger by killing your sisters and your mother, he said with a smile. Hector. You damn son of a bitch, he shouted furiously, don't you dare touch them or you'll regret it, Dreg. Dreg. Welsh dragon balance breaker Titan mode, the dragon on Hector's arm shouted. Ali. That's curious, the armor you used against your uncle, he said, smiling. Hector. I hope you're prepared to die, he said, disappearing and reappearing behind Vali, throwing a right hook at the albino's face. Ali. You're so strong, you bastard. He yelled, hitting the brunette. Hector. That's all, he said while blocking the white man's attacks. Ali. Don't get too confident, he said seriously as he launched a flurry of combos at Hector's face, which Hector blocked. Hector. Dragon shot. He shouted, launching a sphere of power towards the albino. Ali. Albion, he said calmly. Albion. Divide, 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 said the dragon as the sphere disappeared. Hector. Shit, he said, agitated from losing power. Dreg transfers the energy to my legs and arms now. Dreg. Understood, partner, said the dragon, beginning to send out his energy. Hector. My turn, Lucifer, he said, disappearing in a red blur. Surprise, he said as he delivered a large number of blows to the face of the white dragon. Ali. Damn it, this is just the beginning. Half dimension. As he said those words, the entire building began to shrink. Hector. How annoying, he said seriously. Azazel. Well, it seems this has become dangerous. Sirzechs. What's happening? He said, looking at the fallen man. Azazel. Half dimension allows him to reduce the size of things to such an extent that they become extinct, he said, looking at the redeed. Michael. This is bad, we must do something to stop it, he said seriously. Mickey. That kid is crazy, she said seriously, we must try anything. Damn it, she said angrily, I must help my brother. Yumi. Yes, I support you, sister, let's go, she said decisively. Alright, it's time to hunt. Shouted the brunette as she was covered by silver armor. Azazel. Well, I didn't expect the bearer of the chaos armor to be in your faction, Sirzechs, he said, smiling. Sirzechs. It's a surprise to me too. Yumi. It's my turn too, celestial armor balance breaker, said the young brunette as she was covered by golden armor with blue gems and took out her beautiful white wings. Sirzechs. It seems that heaven also has its secrets. Michael. Yumi is a very strong warrior, all thanks to Vasco's training, he said with a smile. Ali. We're definitely going to have an interesting fight, he said with a smile. Yumi. Don't get too confident, Lucifer, she said seriously. You'd better take care of yourself. Ali. Cataclysm, said the albino, striking the ground, causing enormous rocks to erupt and strike the red dragon sisters. Yumi. That won't defeat me, she said, smiling. It's all Lucifer. Ollie. They are very trusting, that will lead them to death, he said seriously. Hector. Let's continue the fight, he said, smiling. Ollie. Of course, because I have an ace up my sleeve. Cardinal Imperial Vanished Dragon Balance Breaker. A completely different armor appeared, and its power was superior to that of the United Leaders, even surpassing that of Hector's sisters, except for him. Ollie. You see this is power, this is the true power of Albion. I don't think that's power. The shield was destroyed and everyone saw in the sky someone worse than Lucifer or Katera, and that one was coming down. He had a red cape with 3 symbols of the same, a strange armor also with a symbol on his chest, on his arms he had metal gloves with claws that reached to the elbow. The terrifying mask. Everyone knew that was Brightburn, the son of darkness, the one who had caused panic and some destruction with his power and the sacred gears he possessed. Ollie. So you're Brightburn, huh? Brightburn. That's right, I'm Brightburn, the son of darkness. Chapter 11. The entire academy was completely silent as they watched Brightburn, the son of darkness, face to face. This being from another world had arrived and was far more powerful than mythological gods, such as Shiva, the god of destruction. Just like the dragon gods. Ollie. What a pleasant surprise to see a Kryptonian. Don't you think giving us your name is too much trouble? Brightburn stared intently at Volley. But then he decided to speak, but his voice was very frightening. Brightburn. Why should I give my name to a demon like you? Ollie. It's rude not to know our opponents' names. If you can't tell me, that's fine. I already knew who you were anyway. You're a Kryptonian from a different world, but I know that at the beginning you were an ordinary human, and you always will be Hyoudou Issei. This revelation shocked everyone, especially the Hyoudou family, since that was their son's name, and they never imagined that he was the one causing fear and panic throughout the world. Hector. That's not true, he can't be our brother. It's true, Oni-chan can't kill people, and he doesn't even know about the supernatural. But Brightburn, knowing that his identity had now been discovered, had no choice but to remove his mask and reveal his face, which was brown with blood-red eyes, but a little pale. And yes, that was Hyoudou Issei, the one they considered an ordinary human. Issei. I thought the son of the original Lucifer would know about me, but it was interesting. What do you want here? Ollie. I came here to fight my rival, but now that you're here, I want to prove I'm the most powerful White Dragon Emperor by defeating you. Issei. What, you think you can defeat a Kryptonian? I'm far more powerful than you. I'm far more powerful than the dragon gods. There's nothing that can destroy me. Ollie. Show me how powerful you are. But if you don't want to do it, it means you're a coward and useless. Issei was very upset because those were the same words the children used to say to him in that reformatory. Issei puts on the mask. Gloves appear on both arms, one yellow with red gems and the other black with red gems. And her eyes began to glow a very bright crimson. Issei. You wanted a show of power, and here it is. Terminus fires a huge torrent of black and red laser beams from both hands. From his right hand fires a golden beam and from the left a red one. The 3 attacks merge into one, increasing in size and heading at maximum speed towards Volley. Rolls. Albion. Albion. Divide, 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 divide. Even if he tried to divide the power, he couldn't do anything, since it was a power unlike any other. Albion. I cannot divide what is worth it. Volley then moved away as the lightning struck beside him, but the lightning continued forward. He entered the balance breaker and began to fly at maximum speed all around, passing over the school, but the lightning still passed through, destroying the towers. Volley tried to dodge the lightning, but it was useless. Out of nowhere, the lightning bolt split into thousands of lightning bolts and began to strike in different places. The leaders put up protective seals to prevent anything from happening, but they were still destroyed. Volley was very nervous because he thought that if one of those lightning bolts struck him, it would end his life. A lightning bolt struck beside him, shattering a small part of his armor. Suddenly, another began to strike beside him. He looked up and saw something terrifying. Volley was gathering an enormous amount of energy in his hands. He launched a gigantic sphere in his direction, but Volley tried with all his might to divide it, but it was no use. So he decided to retreat. Even so, the sphere hit the ground and caused a tremendous explosion that swept away everything and destroyed the academy. Volley, seeing that display of power, was shocked, but he still didn't lose hope of defeating him and proving that he was the most powerful. Issei. You think you can defeat me? Issei appeared at great speed beside him and delivered a kick that completely destroyed his armor and sent him flying, crashing into a very large piece of rubble. Issei. You're nothing but a useless and cowardly fool. Bali tries to get up with all his strength, but someone appears beside him, grabs him by the neck, and delivers a powerful blow to his stomach, causing him to spit out a large amount of blood. Issei. Deep down you're afraid that they'll take away from you again what you lost a long time ago. Issei places an energy sphere on his chest, and the energy passes through him, but he doesn't. He gives him another spinning kick, sending him flying. Issei. You fear your grandfather for murdering your beloved mother? I want a simple human. Bali heard how they were mocking her matrix and was enraged, so she reactivated the balance breaker and an energy blast hit her head, but she wasn't harmed. Issei. You're nothing against me, you're nothing against the original Demon King. Issei began charging his laser beams, fired them, and they struck the chest, but with his armor intact, he was resisting. He couldn't endure anymore, so in an act of cowardice, he extinguished his wings and flew away, but to his surprise, the other man appeared above him and struck him with a hammer, forcing him to plummet and creating a crater. Issei descends from the sky and begins to walk slowly until he is face to face with him, who was taking out his head, eyes, nose, mouth, chest and back. Issei. Look, even with absolutely no energy left, you still ended up being defeated. Even with my balance breaker working, you wouldn't be able to hurt me, so I'll give you this warning: show up here again, and I'll end your insignificant life. Bali was very scared, so he fell conscious. The barrier broke, revealing a yokai with a monkey tail and a staff. This was his partner, and seeing him like that, he was very surprised. But seeing the scary one face to face, he grabbed him and left. Issei. I know you have many questions, but they will all be answered at another time. Goodbye forever. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.